Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins today, we're diving into one of the most talked about coins in American coin collecting history. It's small, it's silver-colored, and it's something millions of people have held in their hands without even thinking twice. We're talking about the 1964 Jefferson nickel. Specifically, the coin that some say could be worth an unbelievable $1.9 million. That's right. A coin that says 5 cents on the front could secretly be worth nearly $2 million. Sounds crazy, right? So what's the truth? Is it a myth? Is it possible? And if so, how can you tell if you have one of these ultra-valuable nickels sitting in your change jar? In this video, we're going to explore the full history of the 1964 Jefferson nickel, why it's so popular with collectors, the versions that exist, what makes certain nickels valuable, and whether or not there's any truth to that jaw-dropping $1 million price tag. Let's begin. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938 as a replacement for the beloved Buffalo nickel. Designed by German-American sculptor Felix Schlag, the coin featured a side profile of Thomas Jefferson on the front and a simple image of Monticello, his Virginia estate, on the back. For decades, the design remained unchanged, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Now we come to 1964, a year that marked a turning point for American coinage. The early 1960s saw a growing coin shortage in the United States. Silver prices were on the rise, people were hoarding coins, and mints were struggling to keep up with the demand for change. As a result, in 1964, the U.S. Mint dramatically increased production of coins, including the nickel. In fact, over 2.8 billion Jefferson nickels were minted in 1964 alone. That's right. Nearly 3 billion of these nickels were produced between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. So if you're thinking rarity is what makes the 1964 nickel valuable, that's not quite the case. It's one of the most common nickels in U.S. history. But here's where things get interesting. While most 1964 nickels are only worth face value, a few special examples have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. And then there's the claim that one version sold or could sell for $1.9 million. To understand why, we have to dive deeper into what makes certain coins valuable beyond just age or how many were made. The first thing to understand is that coin collectors care a lot about condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 60 is the lowest level of uncirculated, while MS 70 is considered perfect. The higher the grade, the higher the value. A 1964 Jefferson nickel in mint state condition with a high grade, say MS 65 or better, especially one with sharp details and full steps on Monticello, can be worth significantly more than a worn coin. And that brings us to one of the biggest factors in value for Jefferson nickels. Full steps. On the reverse side of the coin, the steps of Monticello should be clearly visible and separated. Most nickels do not show full steps because the dies used to strike the coins wore down quickly, and the minting process often didn't leave sharp enough detail. A 1964 nickel with full steps is significantly rarer and therefore much more desirable to collectors. Some high-grade full-step 1964 nickels have sold for over $1,000. In fact, one 1964 D. Jefferson nickel with full steps graded MS66 by PCGS sold for over $3,000 at auction. Now we come to the million-dollar question. Where does the $1.9 million value come from? There have been a few viral stories and videos online claiming that a rare version of the 1964 Jefferson nickel is worth nearly $2 million. These stories often don't give a lot of specifics, but some point to a rare error coin or an ultra-high-grade proof-like strike that may be unique. One theory is that these high values are being attached to the so-called special strike nickels. These are coins that weren't regular business strikes, but also not official proof coins. They seem to fall somewhere in between, with sharper details and more mirror-like finishes than typical coins from circulation. These special strike coins from 1964 are incredibly rare, and some experts believe they may have been experimental strikes or test pieces created by the mint during the transition from silver coinage to in 2016. One of these special strike nickels, a 1964 SMS, short for Special Mint Set, sold for over $30,000. That's a serious price for a 5-cent coin, but still a long way from $1.9 million. So far, there is no confirmed public sale of any 1964 Jefferson nickel for $1.9 million. That value seems to come more from speculation, internet exaggeration, or private dealer wish lists rather than hard auction data. However, it's not impossible that a previously unknown, ultra-rare error or specimen-level 1964 nickel could fetch a massive price if one ever surfaced. That's the excitement of coin collecting. You never know what might be sitting in your drawer, waiting to be discovered. So what should you look for if you want to check your 1964 nickels for value? First, look at the condition. If it's heavily worn, scratched, or discolored, it's probably only worth face value. But if it looks crisp, shiny, and sharp, it might be uncirculated. Next, look at the reverse. Use a magnifying glass to examine the steps of Monticello. If all 5 or 6 steps are clearly visible and separate, you may have a full steps coin, which can command a premium. Then, look at the mint mark. 1964 nickels were made in Philadelphia and Denver. The Denver Mint coin has a small D to the right of Monticello. Both versions can be valuable and high grade, but special strikes are more likely to come from Philadelphia. Also check for errors. Off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, or coins that look like they were struck on the wrong planchet can all be worth money. Any unusual feature should be investigated. And most importantly, if you think you have a special coin, don't try to clean it. Cleaning can destroy value. Instead, consider sending it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will authenticate, grade, and encapsulate your coin so collectors and dealers can trust its value. So, let's wrap it up. The 1964 Jefferson nickel is one of the most common coins in America. Billions were made. Most are only worth 5 cents. But in uncirculated condition, with full steps, or as part of a rare mint error or special strike, the value can climb into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The $1.9 million price tag? That appears to be a myth for now. A fun story, maybe a goal for some collectors, but not supported by actual sales. That said, who knows what could be hiding out there? Rare coins have been discovered in the wild before, even in pocket change. So keep checking your coins. Keep learning. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one to find the next record-breaking nickel. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into coin values, history, and collecting tips. Share your thoughts in the comments below, especially if you have a 1964 nickel of your own. Until next time, happy hunting and keep collecting. Let me know if you want a shorter version of this script, a version with visuals or timestamps, or one focused on coin grading and spotting errors. Welcome back to the channel. Rarest Coins. Today, we're diving into a coin that's been making waves across social media and coin forums lately. The 1985 P. Jefferson nickel. If you've heard the rumors, you already know what some people are saying, that this humble 5-cent coin could be worth as much as $1.6 million. That's right, a single nickel from 1985 that could make you a millionaire. Now, that sounds pretty wild. But is there any truth to it? Is it even possible? Or is this just another internet myth that's been blown way out of proportion? In this video, we're going to explore the full story behind the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel. We'll break down its history, how many were minted, why some nickels become valuable, and whether the million-dollar claim is based in reality. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and whether your change jar might be hiding something truly special. Let's get started. First, a little background. The Jefferson nickel was introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel. The original design was created by Felix Schlag and features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse. On the reverse, you'll find a view of Jefferson's Virginia home, Monticello. This design was used for over 6 decades and became one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The year 1985 was part of a relatively stable period in U.S. coin production. There were no major metal composition changes that year for nickels. The 1985 Jefferson nickel was struck in the same copper-nickel alloy that had been used for decades. However, the Philadelphia Mint, which is represented by the P mint mark on the coin, produced a massive number of nickels that year, over 700 million. To be exact, so the question is obvious. How can a coin that had over 700 million copies ever be rare or valuable? And that's the first thing we have to understand about coin collecting. Mintage numbers are important, but they're not everything. A coin's value depends on several factors: condition, rarity of specific varieties, strike quality, and whether or not it has errors. Even a common coin can become valuable if it has the right combination of these traits. Let's talk about condition first. Coin collectors use a scale from 1 to 70 to grade a coin's condition. Coins in the 60 to 70 range are considered uncirculated, meaning they've never been used in everyday transactions. A coin graded MS70 is considered perfect. No scratches, no wear, just flawless design and luster. Most 1985 P nickels that you find in circulation today will be in poor to average condition. They'll have scratches, dull surfaces, and signs of wear. But a small percentage of coins that were preserved in rolls or mint sets remain in mint state condition. These are the coins collectors chase. Now here's where things get interesting. Some high-grade examples of the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel have sold for impressive amounts. Coins graded MS66 or MS67, especially those with strong strike quality and eye appeal, have been sold at auction for several $100s. One coin in MS67 condition sold for over $1,000. But what about that million-dollar number? Where does the $1.6 million claim come from? Just like with other coins that go viral online, the million-dollar story around the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel likely started with a mix of misinformation and speculation. Some videos and websites have claimed that an ultra-rare error coin from this year was sold or could be sold for over $1 million. But let's be clear, there is no confirmed public record of a 1985 P. Jefferson nickel ever selling for $1.6 million. So, does that mean it's all fake? Not necessarily. Sometimes, high prices are mentioned in the context of extreme hypotheticals, like if a new, unique error was discovered, or if a prototype or test coin somehow made its way out of the mint. In those very specific cases, a coin might be worth an extraordinary amount. But unless that coin is found, authenticated, and sold at a legitimate auction, the million-dollar value remains nothing more than a rumor. However, there are definitely versions of the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel that are worth more than face value, and some of them are worth a lot more. One of the biggest factors collectors look for is full steps. On the reverse of the coin, at the base of Monticello, you'll see a series of steps. A well-struck coin will show 5 or 6 clearly defined steps, fully separated and unbroken. Coins that qualify for the full steps designation are much rarer and often command much higher prices at auction than a 1985 P. Jefferson nickel with full steps and a grade of MS66 or higher could be worth hundreds, possibly even over $1,000, depending on demand. Then there's the world of mint errors. Error coins are some of the most exciting finds in modern coin collecting. These are coins that were struck incorrectly at the mint. Some of the most valuable errors include double dies, off-center strikes, coins struck on the wrong planchet, and even coins that are missing part of their design. While no famous million-dollar errors have yet been confirmed for the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel, collectors are always on the lookout. If someone were to discover a one-of-a-kind error from that year, something like a nickel struck on a copper penny planchet or a dramatic double die, the value could easily jump into the tens of thousands. In the right situation, with the right buyer, a truly unique error could reach extraordinary prices. But again, that hasn't happened publicly yet. How can you tell if your 1985 P nickel is valuable? Here's what to do. First, check the overall condition. If your coin looks shiny, has no wear, and has strong luster, it might be uncirculated. Compare it to coins of the same year and look for signs of wear, especially on Jefferson's cheek and the high points of Monticello. Second, flip the coin over and look closely at the steps on Monticello. If all the steps are clear and separated, you might have a full steps example. That's a strong indicator of value. Third, check for errors. Look for doubling on the date or lettering, unusual shapes, missing parts of the design, or off-center strikes. Weigh the coin too. A normal nickel weighs 5 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less, it might have been struck on the wrong metal. And lastly, if your coin seems promising, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll give you an official grade and help you determine if your coin has real collector value. Coins that are certified often sell for much higher prices because buyers can trust they're authentic and in the condition stated. So, let's bring it all together. The 1985 P. Jefferson nickel is not rare by mintage numbers. Over 700 million were made. Most of them are only worth 5 cents. But in high grades, with strong strike quality or full steps, they can be worth hundreds or even over $1,000. Add in the possibility of rare mint errors, and yes, it's possible that an extraordinary example could one day be worth a fortune. But as of now, no 1985 P-nickel has sold for $1.6 million. Still, it pays to look. Because the fun of coin collecting isn't just about the money. It's about history, discovery, and the thrill of the hunt. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into coin values, US coin history, and what to look for in your change. Drop a comment below if you've ever come across a high-grade nickel or found something interesting in circulation. And remember, the next $1,000,000 coin could be in your pocket right now. Until next time, happy collecting and keep searching. Would you like a follow-up script about how to grade Jefferson nickels at home, or a short video version of this script for TikTok or Instagram? Welcome back to the channel. If you're into coins, collectibles, or just love the idea that something small in your pocket might be worth a fortune, then this video is going to be right up your alley. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about coins in recent memory, the 1984 Jefferson nickel, specifically the one minted in Philadelphia. There's been a lot of buzz online about this coin supposedly being worth over $1,000,000. That's right, a nickel, 5 cents, selling for a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. But is it true? Is there really a 1984 P-nickel out there worth that kind of cash? Or is this just another internet myth that's gone viral? In this video, we're going to explore the history of the 1984 Jefferson nickel, its design, why it's interesting to collectors, what versions of it exist, how much it's really worth, and where that $1,000,000 rumor came from. And finally, we'll talk about what to look for in your own pocket change in case you've been carrying around a tiny treasure without even knowing it. Let's get started. First, let's talk about the history of the Jefferson nickel itself. The Jefferson nickel replaced the Buffalo nickel in 1938. It was designed by Felix Schlag and featured a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. This design remained mostly unchanged until 2004, when the Westward Journey series briefly updated the look. But in 1984, the design was still classic Schlag. It's one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Now, the 1984 Jefferson nickel minted in Philadelphia, which is the one without a mint mark, is just one of the coins in that year's series. There was also the 1984 D from the Denver Mint and the 1984 S, which was a special proof version made for collectors. But the one getting all the attention is the 1984 P. Let's talk about mintage numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 746 million Jefferson nickels in 1984. That's a lot. So right off the bat, we can say this is not a rare coin based on how many were made. You could walk into a bank today, get a roll of nickels, and still find a 1984 P. So why all the hype? It comes down to a few things. First, condition. Most coins you find in circulation are scratched, worn down, or damaged. But a coin that's been preserved in near-perfect condition, especially straight from a mint set or a coin roll that's never been opened, can be worth significantly more. Collectors call these coins mint state coins, and they're graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. Now here's where it gets interesting. A 1984 P-nickel that's been graded MS 67, which means near perfect with no visible flaws to the naked eye, has sold at auction for over $1,000. That's not a million, but it's definitely a leap from 5 cents. In fact, one 1984 P. Jefferson nickel with a very strong strike and what's called full steps, meaning the stairs on the Monticello side of the coin are perfectly visible and sharply struck, sold for over $1,200. So yes, condition matters. Strike quality matters. But what about the $1,000,000 claim? Is there a specific coin that sold for $1.3 million? After hours of research and digging through auction records from places like Heritage Auctions, PCGS, NGC, and Great Collections, the answer is no. There is no publicly recorded sale of a 1984 P. Jefferson nickel for anything remotely close to $1,000,000. The highest known values are still in the low thousands, and even those are for very specific examples in pristine condition with rare strike characteristics. So where does the $1,000,000 rumor come from? Well, as with many things online, It starts with a little bit of truth and a lot of exaggeration. Some websites and social media pages love to post clickbait headlines like, "This coin is worth $1.3 million. Check your change," without providing any real context. They might show a coin that looks like a 1984 Jefferson nickel, but is actually an error coin from a different year. Or they might quote a hypothetical value from a private dealer who thinks the coin could be worth that much under perfect conditions. But in the real world, no collector has paid anywhere near that. That's not to say valuable nickels don't exist. They absolutely do, especially error coins. For example, there are known Jefferson nickels struck on the wrong planchet. That means instead of being struck on a 5-cent blank, they were struck on a dime blank or even a foreign coin blank. Those kinds of mint errors are rare and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the details. There are also double die errors, where the coin's design appears doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process. These are highly collectible and have been found on Jefferson nickels, although not commonly from 1984. And of course, the full steps variety we mentioned earlier. Collectors go crazy for a clean strike with full steps because it's difficult to find in the Jefferson series, especially in the older coins where die wear and poor minting practices resulted in weaker details. So if you find a 1984 P with strong full steps and high-grade surfaces, it could be worth a good chunk of money. But again, we're talking hundreds, not millions. Now let's talk about how you can tell if your 1984 nickel is valuable. First, look at the reverse side of the coin. Focus on the steps of Monticello. Are they all clearly separated with visible lines? Or are they blurred together? If they're sharply defined, that's a good sign. Next, examine the coin for wear. Are there scratches, dings, signs of circulation? A truly uncirculated coin will look fresh, have a strong luster, and very minimal if any contact marks. Then, check for errors. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to look for doubling, off-center strikes, or anything that looks out of place. Don't forget to weigh the coin too. A normal Jefferson nickel weighs 5 grams. If it's way off from that, you might be holding an error coin. And finally, if you think your coin is something special, don't guess. Send it to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies will professionally evaluate your coin, assign it a grade, and authenticate it. That's the only way to know its real value, and to get top dollar if you decide to sell it.so. Let's bring it all together. The 1984 P. Jefferson nickel is not rare by mintage. In circulated condition, it's worth 5 cents. In uncirculated condition with a strong strike and no damage, it could be worth a few dollars. In top mint state grades, especially with full steps, it might fetch hundreds or a little over $1,000 at auction. And in extremely rare error cases, it could be worth even more. But the idea that a standard 1984 nickel is worth $1.3 million is a myth. It's a fun story, but not backed by real-world sales or collector interest. Still, don't let that stop you from checking your change. Some of the most valuable coins ever discovered were found in rolls from the bank or forgotten change jars at home. It's a treasure hunt. And now you know what to look for. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, hit that like button and consider subscribing for more coin content just like this. We break down myths, explore history, and help you understand what your coins are really worth. Until next time, happy collecting and good luck out there. Let me know if you'd like this script formatted for a teleprompter, broken into sections for easier filming, or turned into a short version. Welcome back to the channel. If you're a coin collector, history buff, or just someone who's curious about the potential treasures hiding in your everyday pocket change, you're going to love today's video. We're digging into one of the most talked about coins of the past few years, the 1982 D. Jefferson nickel. Now, depending on what you've seen online, you might have heard something pretty shocking. Some sources claim this ordinary-looking nickel could be worth up to $1.5 million. That's right, a 5-cent coin, minted in the early 1980s, with a potential value in the millions. So today, we're going to take a deep dive into this coin. We'll talk about its history, the minting process, what makes some nickels valuable, and where this claim of a $1.5 million nickel even comes from. Most importantly, we'll explain how to tell if the 1982 D nickel in your collection is just spare change or a true collector's prize. Let's get started. First, let's talk about the Jefferson nickel itself. This coin has been part of U.S. coinage since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. The design was created by Felix Schlag and features a side profile of Thomas Jefferson on the front and Jefferson's home, Monticello, on the reverse. This design stayed largely unchanged for more than 60 years, until the westward journey nickels came along in 2004. Now, let's zoom in on 1982. It was a transitional time for coinage in the United States. The country was dealing with inflation and rising production costs, especially in coin metals. That same year, the U.S. Mint made significant changes to the penny, switching from a mostly copper composition to a zinc core with copper plating. However, nickels didn't go through a metal change in 1982. They remained copper-nickel as they had been for decades. That year, the Denver Mint, represented by the D Mint mark, produced around 373 million Jefferson nickels. That's a lot. So at first glance, it doesn't seem like the 1982 D nickel would be anything special. But the truth is, as with many modern coins, the real value lies in condition, strike quality, and most interestingly, in rare errors or varieties that occurred during production. Let's talk about coin grading for a moment. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. A grade of 60 or higher is considered mint state, meaning it has not been circulated. Coins in mint state condition, especially those with strong, crisp strikes and minimal marks, are always more valuable than worn examples. With Jefferson nickels, there's one particular detail that gets collectors excited: full steps. On the reverse of the coin, at the base of Monticello, you'll find the stairs leading up to the building. If all 5 or 6 steps are fully visible and cleanly struck, that coin may qualify for a full steps designation. These coins are harder to find, especially from certain years and mints. A full steps Jefferson nickel is almost always more valuable than one without. Now here's where the story takes a turn toward the million-dollar claim. Some online sources, social media posts, and even coin-related videos have claimed that a 1982 D Jefferson nickel sold for as much as $1.5 million. That number sounds amazing, but is it true? At this time, there is no confirmed public auction or recorded private sale showing a 1982 D nickel selling for anywhere near that amount. The most valuable examples of this coin typically sell for a few $100s, or in some rare cases, a few thousand. And that's for coins that are in nearly perfect condition with full steps, certified by major grading services like PCGS or NGC.S. Oh, what's really going on here? Most likely, the $1.5 million figure comes from a mix of rumor, speculation, and misunderstanding. Some coin sites will list hypothetical values or inflated price guides based on what could happen in the perfect storm, a unique error coin, in flawless condition, with historical significance and high collector demand. But unless that coin actually surfaces and sells, it remains speculation. Let's be clear, there are some extremely valuable Jefferson nickels out there. Certain errors, like off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on the wrong planchet, like a nickel struck on a dime or penny blank, can be worth hundreds or even thousands. A 1989 Jefferson nickel struck on a cent planchet sold for over $3,000. So if something like that happened with a 1982 D, and it was preserved in high grade, its value could be enormous. But the everyday 1982 D nickel, even in decent circulated condition, it's usually worth 5 cents. If you have one that's uncirculated and has full steps, it could be worth more, maybe 20, 50, even a few $100s depending on the grade. So what should you be looking for? First, check the condition. If your coin has sharp detail, no signs of wear, and looks like it just came from the mint, you might have an uncirculated piece. Second, look at the steps on Monticello. Use a magnifying glass or loupe to inspect the base of the building. If you can clearly count all the steps and they aren't worn down or blended together, your coin may qualify for full steps. That's a big plus. Third, check for mint errors. Some of the most valuable coins were struck incorrectly by accident. Look for off-center designs, doubling of letters or numbers, unusual thickness, clipped planchets, or anything that looks out of the ordinary. If your coin feels too light or too heavy, weigh it. A normal Jefferson nickel should weigh 5 grams. Anything far off that might be struck on the wrong metal. And finally, if your coin seems unusual or in excellent condition, consider sending it to a third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies will authenticate and grade your coin, which can help determine its real value on the collector market. So, is the 1982 D. Jefferson nickel worth $1.5 million? Most likely not. At least, not yet. That kind of number would require a once-in-a-lifetime error, a perfect grade, and a collector willing to pay an extraordinary premium. But there are certainly valuable 1982 D nickels out there, especially in high grades or with full steps. Some of them are worth hundreds, and a few might crack into the low thousands if they're truly exceptional. The important thing is this: don't dismiss your change. Even common coins can become valuable depending on condition, rarity, or error. Coin collecting is a game of details, and the closer you look, the more you learn. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, educational, or just plain interesting, give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content about coin history, values, and what to look for in your collection. Drop a comment if you've got a 1982 D. Jefferson nickel, or if you've ever found a valuable coin in your change. We've got more videos coming soon about rare errors, grading tips, and the truth behind viral coin claims. Until next time, keep your eyes open, keep your change close, and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like this script shortened for TikTok or turned into a visual storyboard for YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about one of the most popular coins in US circulation, and one that's been making waves online for a pretty surprising reason: the 1986 D. Jefferson nickel. You may have seen headlines or videos claiming this small 5-cent coin could be worth as much as $1.4 million. That's right. A single nickel from 1986 supposedly worth over $1 million. So the question is there any truth to this claim? Could you really have a small fortune hiding in your pocket change? Or is this just another internet myth designed to get your hopes up? In this video, we're going deep. We're going to explore the full history of the Jefferson nickel series. What makes the 1986 D coin unique? What determines a coin's value? And we'll get to the bottom of that $1 million rumor. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your nickels, how to spot a valuable one, and whether or not that $1.4 million dream has any foundation in reality. Let's jump into it. First, a little background on the Jefferson nickel. This coin was first minted in 1938, replacing the famous Buffalo nickel. The design was created by Felix Schlag and featured a portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with his home Monticello on the reverse. The design stayed virtually unchanged for decades, becoming one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. By 1986, the Jefferson nickel was still a regular part of pocket change. The Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark on the coin, produced a large quantity of nickels that year. In fact, the mintage for the 1986 D. Jefferson nickel was over 459 million coins. That means nearly 500 million of them were made. So from a rarity standpoint, this coin doesn't seem all that special. You might even be thinking, how could something so common be worth a fortune? Here's where it gets interesting. Not all coins are created equal, even if they share the same date and mint mark. Coin collectors, or numismatists, care about several key factors when determining value. Condition, rarity, strike quality, errors, and provenance all play a role in how much a coin is worth. Let's start with condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the grade, the better the condition. A coin graded MS-60 is the lowest level of uncirculated, while MS-70 is considered a perfect coin, with no flaws even under magnification. Most coins from circulation are nowhere near that. They're worn, scratched, discolored, and have lost their original luster. But occasionally, collectors find coins that are in pristine condition, especially those that came from original mint rolls or have been well preserved. A 1986 D. Jefferson nickel in mint state condition, especially MS-66 or MS-67, can fetch a much higher price than one that's been bouncing around in someone's pocket for 30 years. Next, let's talk about something collectors really pay attention to when it comes to Jefferson nickels: full steps. On the reverse of the coin, at the base of Monticello, there are a set of steps. A coin with all 5 or 6 steps clearly visible and fully separated is said to have the full steps designation. These coins indicate a strong, clean strike from fresh dies, which is much less common than you might think. A 1986 D. Jefferson nickel with full steps in high grade is significantly more valuable than a regular strike. For example, One example, graded MS-67 with full steps, has sold for over $1,000 at auction. That might not be a million, but it's a lot for a coin that originally cost 5 cents. Now let's move to the next level, error coins. Error coins are one of the most fascinating areas of coin collecting. These are coins that were struck incorrectly at the mint. They might be off-center, double-struck, struck on the wrong planchet, or have other unusual features caused by a malfunction during the minting process. Some of these error coins are one-of-a-kind, and their values can climb fast. There are known examples of Jefferson nickels struck on dime blanks or with dramatic off-center strikes. If you happen to find a 1986 D nickel with one of these errors, you could be holding something rare. In verified, graded condition, such coins have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But what about the big question? The $1.4 million claim. There are websites, social media posts, and even videos out there that say in 1986, D. Jefferson nickel sold for $1.4 million. That kind of statement grabs attention. But is it true? As of now, there is no confirmed, documented public auction where a 1986 D nickel sold for that amount. The top verified auction records show high-grade examples selling for around $1,000 to $2,000. And that's for exceptional condition with full steps designation or rare errors. So where does the $1.4 million number come from? Most likely, it's a combination of internet rumors, clickbait headlines, and misunderstandings about coin value. Sometimes dealers or collectors speculate that if a unique variety or discovery coin were to appear, like a one-of-a-kind error or prototype, it could potentially be worth that kind of money. But unless that coin has been graded, sold, and documented in the public record, it's just speculation. That doesn't mean you shouldn't check your change. Valuable coins do turn up from time to time. The key is knowing what to look for. So here's what you should do if you want to check your 1986 D. Jefferson nickels for value. First, check the condition. If it looks clean, shiny, and unworn, you might have an uncirculated coin. That's a great starting point. Second, flip it over and look closely at the steps on Monticello. If all the steps are visible and separate, you might have a full steps example, which is much more desirable to collectors. Third, examine the coin carefully for errors. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look for doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or anything that seems unusual. Fourth, check the weight. A standard nickel weighs 5 grams. If your coin is significantly over or under that, it might be struck on the wrong planchet. Finally, if you believe you have something special, send it to a third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations will authenticate and grade your coin, and once it's certified, you'll have a much clearer idea of its market value. To wrap it all up, the 1986 D. Jefferson nickel is not a rare coin by mintage numbers. Hundreds of millions were made. In average condition, it's worth face value. But in mint state condition, with full steps or a verified mint error, it can be worth hundreds or even over $1,000. The claim that one sold for $1.4 million is, at this point, unverified and highly unlikely. But that doesn't mean valuable nickels aren't out there. You just have to know what to look for. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or learned something new today, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content just like this. We break down coin myths, explore true values, and help you become a smarter collector. Let us know in the comments if you found any interesting nickels. And as always, keep checking your change, because you never know when you'll find that one coin that changes everything. See you in the next video. Would you like a short version of this script, a version with visuals and voiceover cues, or a follow-up script for rare error coins from the 1980s?